So welccome everybody. This is the Halloween commemoration and of the dead and celebration of life from SFTS. This is our very first, as Sam calls it, the Occupy the Culprit event. Of course, it's actually designed more to be in commemoration of what Halloween is supposed to be.
Stole my favorite.
And this is sort of a test run to see if we can have a sense of secular spirituality, so to speak, if such a word is not an oxymoron. All right, so first I'll defer to my friend Tyler Miller over here and see if he has got some tunes for us he'll play, and then we'll go from there onwards.
Play some tunes. Thanks.
It's a chapel and it's not a meditation house, so.
Thanks for this. The acoustics are amazing. And I was gonna say something, I just forgot. Oh well. I can tell you that this song is vaguely about spirits. So. Oh, maybe I'll tell them a little about my background.
Yeah,
I used to be like a super religious Christian and stuff like that, and now I'm not. So that's my background.
It's a good song.
Okay. I thought I'd have more banter in between, but I guess not.
Well, you can go ahead.
No? I don't really know what this is all about, so I guess it's an experiment for all of us.
now I'll tell all you guys what this event is supposed to be about. Aside from the fact that Halloween, we all know, is an ancient pagan tradition, and there's always been a tradition of commemoration of the dead. From what I understand, basically, what they used to do was on October 31st is the day when they'll keep the offerings for the dead outside because they would not want them to come into the houses. And so that's where you get the whole tradition of the trick-or-treat candies and whatnot. But on November 1st, the pagans would go to the graveyards and commemorate their ancestors and know what they're doing, but basically remember them. And this event for SFTS, for Secular Freethought Society, VSU, is designed to be a commemoration of our ancestors, not just our biological ancestors, although you're welcome to remember them too, but also our predecessors. Those people that came from Renaissance, particularly 18th century Enlightenment onwards, because of whom we are here today, because of whom whatever degrees of freedoms we have, whatever degrees of belief we have in whatever things that we believe in, whether it be secular humanism, whether it be methodological naturalism, all these ideas, all the way from David Hume to Voltaire to for some of the founding fathers like Jefferson and Franklin and Thomas Paine as well. Those are the people that basically that came before us. They paved the way. This is a commemoration of those dead without whom we would not have been here. And of course, many, many more. This is what we are here for. One of the things we're going to do as part of the program is I'll tell you what we're going to do step by step, so you all know. Some of this may be even controversial, but this is a meeting, so obviously you're open to raise any objections if you want to. This is not a church service per se. The first thing is that we're going to do, the next step is going to be communal singing. Basically affirms our genetic belief as a community, and we'll sing a song by John Lennon about imagine, and it's about imagine no religion, imagine no country. I think it kind of aptly describes what our common beliefs are. We are going to sing all of this together, so everybody has to stand up for that and sing with all of it in union. I did not put the word amazing, I did not put the song Amazing Grace in there, although it's on the top of your sheets over there. And apparently a lot of people, atheists, have problem with that.
It's not like Celtic woman, it's
traditional. Right. So basically, we're going to, if all of you can simply stand up for a second, and you will have the last song on your first page, which is Imagine by John Lennon. When I start playing it on YouTube, so pardon me, the club lacks resources, all of you got to sing with it, including myself.
Yeah, usually when they sing songs in church, the people know the songs and have sung them a whole bunch of times.
Right.
And you have a choir and band.
Yeah.
And usually it's not just the lyrics, they usually have like.
Just like 1,000.
Yeah, because most of us probably can't read anyway.
Well, in any event.
Oh, you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to recite this. It's one of my favorite poems, you may say so, from the Dharmapada. It's a Buddhist text of change the words to suit our palate, so to speak. So bear with me when I recite the twin verses. The life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Suffering follows insufferable thoughts, as cart follows the ox that draws. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Joy follows a pure thought, like a shadow that never leaves. He angered me, he attacked me, he defeated me, he stole from me. Those who dwell on hatred will never be free of hatred. He angered me, he attacked me, he defeated me, he stole from me. Those that dwell not on hatred steadily become free of it. Hate cannot end hate, but love can. That is the immutable law. Those that forget, their lives hasten towards end. Those that remember, their quarrels come to end. As the wind blows down a tree, temptation overwhelms the weak, who leisure too much and labor less, caught in the frantic pursuit of happiness. The deluded, imagining trivial things to be vital for life, follow their fancies and never attain the highest form of delight. The wise, knowing, set apart the trivial from the vital, they set their thoughts upon the end, they attain from tempest respite. As rain drips through an ill-patched roof, passion seeps through an untrained mind. As rain drips not through a well-patched roof, passion is controlled by a well-trained mind. The selfish suffer here and after, they suffer twice as a matter of course. The selfless rejoice here and after, they rejoice twice as a matter of course. Those that preach many scriptures but fail to practice what they preach, they are like a shepherd counting another's sheep. Those that know not much of scripture yet practice what they preach, overcome lust, hate, and other illusions, enjoying these moments of life. Well, yeah, just going to that. Well, thank you. The point, of course, is to just illustrate the idea of, as we have talked about the past few weeks on the idea of cultivating virtue, cultivating right disposition. This is essentially what our meeting today is about, is having a sense of secular spirituality, as well as a sense of camaraderie and community, and how we can build those things. Well, what I'll do is I have to truncate some of the schedule over here because we lack time. So I'll just briefly go through kind of a lecture that I prepared. The idea of spirituality has sort of two meanings to it. One, in the original Latin sense, the word spirit means the breath of life. When the ancient man knew that the other person was alive or dead was whether they're breathing or not. So to have spirit is to be able to breathe, and therefore you're alive. Hence,
and can sing.
Pardon?
And can sing.
And can sing, sure. Well, okay, there you go. Can I get a hallelujah?
No.
Well, I realize it's an atheist session, so you're not going to praise God, so okay. But, okay. And anyway, like I said, spirit, at one level, spirit means vitality, it's the essence of life that we all should feel, and we all do feel. At the other level, the word spirit, I'm borrowing this term from Plato's idea of the tripartite mind, as we talked about, and how when he says there is the appetitive portion, and there is the reasonable portion, and then there's the spirited portion. The spirited portion is the one that corresponds to the sense of community. Aristotle said that man is a social or a political animal. We live in communes, we live in societies. You cannot find any human being that can live in isolation from other human beings. And because of that, we have to be sort of in cooperation with each other. We have to cultivate the disposition that can make us more altruistic, perhaps more beneficial to each other. The thing is that even if the world was void of any kind of obligations, any kind of duties, we still need to have those values. We need to be the kind of people that can come together. We do come together. But at the same time, not just work for each other's benefit, also work for our benefit, and in the process not suffer. See, the problem is that the reason people fail to do good things, the reason we fail to come together, is because oftentimes our motivations are not clear. We suffer because of those motivations. Our reasons are oftentimes selfish. Our acts of kindness towards others, and this includes everybody, including myself, are oftentimes calculated towards a certain end. Whereas the ideal goal should never have been, well, it could be if you're in a business transaction to get something from the other person, but the thing should have been that, well, if you're helping somebody else, if you're kind to somebody else, that should be a reward unto itself. The disposition of your own personality should be such that you're not seeking for a reward from the other person for sort of in turn as a sort of act of reciprocity. When people are able to cultivate this kind of disposition, it makes for a better world. The thing is that this idea, this tendency is not something that is rational. It's actually sentimental. It's kind of emotional. It is because it sort of comes from our subconscious. The way I divide personally, we all are familiar with the traditional classification of the mind from the conscious and subconscious level. Jung did a second, more analytical idea, and he came up with the division of the subconscious into the personal subconscious and what he called the collective subconscious. The collective subconscious is where we have the archetypes. We have basically sort of the common, sort of the raw possession of all of human living that we have, came down to us, of course, genetically, keeping in touch with natural selection. You're broadly familiar with these ideas. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's necessarily like we're not inheriting ideas, from the ancestors, but there is something within our mind because of which we all corroborate. When we have the same kind of nightmares, we have the same kind of hopes and wishes across the cultures, across time. He called them collective subconscious. So it's not a collective subconscious in the supernatural sense of the word. It's in a very materialistic sense of the word collective. I further subdivide this collective subconscious into two forms. One is the interpersonal collective subconscious, and the other is transpersonal collective subconscious. The interpersonal collective subconscious deals with human beings and how they want to deal with each other. The transpersonal deals with what Freud had called the oceanic feeling. It is the feeling of being connected with something bigger than ourselves, a sense of awe, a sense of, even bewilderment that we sometimes feel, which is why people often come to the churches and when they're part of this group. Their problem is, of course, they objectify it unnecessarily. They make a claim out of it. They say it's God, and God not just in any generic sense, but in a very particular sense, which objectively becomes a false statement. Obviously, I presume it is a false statement. I think we all agree with it's a false statement. So we'll go with that. However, it can be done on the other ways and other levels also. One of the two ways to do it is what I call basically egophilia and cosmophilia. The idea of egophilia is to basically cultivate this level for yourself. It's not egoism. It is to recognize that all true happiness comes from yourself. Happiness is a form of perception that we have. So we develop that. We can develop this through meditation. The goal of that is, I term it as epaki. It's a Greek term which means, again, a suspension. It's a suspension of thoughts. It's a suspension of, as a means of focus on yourself, concentration on the self, the mind that exists over there. You do it through meditation. That is what gives you egophilia. There are ways to go around it. It becomes a good coping mechanism, but I think it's insufficient. Martin Buber, who was actually a sort of secular humanist, he was also a very famous Zionist, and he went to Israel, and he wrote a book in German called Me and You, or Me and You, where he talks about the fact how people need to have, obviously, a sense of self-esteem in themselves. But there's another need that exists outside of themselves, in the you, the other, the transcendent sort of existence, everything outside of ourselves. To have an anchor in there makes us happy, makes us much better members of the community. It does because we feel better about those things. So the other anchor I call is cosmophilia. It is the love for the entire existence. The way you get to it is through anthrophilia, love of mankind, progressing into biophilia, love of all living things, to cosmophilia, love of all existence. Some of the stuff that you will see, especially on the second page of your the stuff that you have in there, is a kind of a subjective affirmation of those things. We will go through them, we will recite them together when after the whole thing is done. And it is not to be taken objectively, it is merely a declaration of subjective cultivation of who we are as beings. It is a declaration, as Voltaire's Candide states in the end, that I will cultivate my garden. The world can be a horrible place, it's a shitty place, it's a messy place. There's a lot of bad things that happen. But I choose to accept that it's a good place. The cosmos is an orderly existence. Every existence has to have order. The cosmos is kind because it is predictable. And therefore it is a lovable existence. I will choose to accept that. The purpose of our gathering today is basically to sort of affirm that as well, if those of you wish to do so. I'm going to end my sort of this speech over here and just quickly go through the whole thing. After this, Samuel is going to come, and he's going to basically perform his numbers as he has chosen. Then we'll go through the whole sort of this common collective saying session. Once that is done, there's an option over here. It's not, it's voluntary, obviously. You'll go through a common communion. The idea of the communion is I'll bring that sort of this chalice-looking thing in the center. You're welcome to come forward, dip your finger in the water, touch it to your forehead, and then recite the following words over there. It says, broadly speaking, it's I cleanse myself with the elixir of life. I am born again through it to a life of truth, compassion, and happiness. It's sort of a ritual that we're doing for today. Obviously, it doesn't mean anything, but it is a ritual. So those of you who may be interested in doing it, you're welcome to it. I'll do it myself, of course.
I've never seen anybody born again from a drop of water on the head.
Fair point. Like I said, exactly. But then I've never seen water wine turn into blood either.
This is magic water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, is this water left in here by them or?
All I know is this is the water. When Jesus was walking on water, it just came right from his. Somebody collected and brought it over here. So
It's so his feet were on.
It's probably magic homeopathy water too.
Yeah. Well, okay. So without further ado, Samuel, please.
Really?
Yeah, go for it.
Me, it's my turn to pineapple. Okay, so back before I came to grad school here, I wanted to be a folk singer. And so I would do some of that at coffee houses and stuff, but not in several years. So I'm probably going to end up having to apologize for this. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out because it hasn't happened yet. So anyway, I wanted to, when Averroes told me the theme was commemoration of the dead and celebration of life and celebration of those who came before us, I wanted to open with a dedication to a historical figure who I very much admire. And this is a song that was written in 1791 by the radical reformer Joseph Mather in England. This was the same year that Thomas Paine's book, Rights of Man, was published. And so he wrote this song to a tune that will be familiar to all of us because we've heard it either as My Country 'Tis of Thee and or God Save the King/Queen. They haven't heard this version, and I think that's a shame because it's much better. So I'm going to play it now so we can remember it at least for a little while. But first, let me get some of that elixir of life. All right. There's some outdated religious language in this song, but I kept it in because I'd rather not sweep these things under the rug. That's my justification for being too lazy to change the lyrics. God save great Thomas Paine, his rights of man explain to every soul. He makes the blind to see what dupes and slaves they be, and points out liberty from pole to pole. Why should despotic pride usurp on every side? Let us be free. Grant freedom's armed success, and all her efforts bless. Plant through the universe liberty's tree. Proud oppressors down, knock off each tyrant's crown, and break his sword. Down with aristocracy, set up democracy, and from hypocrisy, save us, good lords. Ain't no such thing as a good lord. I think that's very much in the spirit of the song. are seditious things when they touch courts and kings. Armies are raised, barracks and bastions built, innocents charged with guilt, blood most unjustly spilt. God stands amazed. Despots may howl and yell, though they're in league with hell, they won't reign long. Satan may lead the van and do the worst he can. Pain and his rights of man shall be my song. Okay, thank you. So I tried to tie all the songs that I chose into the themes that Alvaro proposed for me, but some of them are, of course, a little bit more oblique than others because this is music. Whatever was said during his thing should absolutely be taken as true for mine, even more so. None of this shit should be taken objectively, all right? With that said, this is a song by the punk band Bad Religion, one of my favorite punk bands, that I have slowed down into the acoustic folk version. So. I had a friend who kept a candle in his pocket. He used to touch it when the wind was blowing high. I guess it made him feel like he could buck the system. And when it flickered out, we laid him down to die. I turned on the light, turned on a billion blinding, brilliant white incendiary lights. A big gun in the night, I'll burn relentlessly until my juice runs dry, yeah. And I'll construct a rack of timber beams and trusses. I'll equip it with a million tiny suns. I'll install upon the roof of my compartment and place tin foil on the floor and on the walls. Then I'll turn on the lights, turn on a billion blinding, brilliant white incendiary lights. A beacon in the night, I'll burn relentlessly until my juice runs dry, yeah. And I'll burn like a Roman fucking candle, burn like a chasm in the night, burn for a minuscule duration, ecstatic immolation, incorrigible delight, yeah. That was kind of about letting that inner light burn. This is a song that I wrote. This one is called Athens and Jerusalem, after a quote from the church father Tertullian, who said, "What has Athens to do with Jerusalem?" I've kind of reversed that. So this is sort of a song about holy war. Athens and Jerusalem, they had a little war, ended before anyone could figure out the score. By the time we finally saw we'd surely meet defeat, those stone-faced saints in hobnailed boots were marching down the street. Athens and Jerusalem, two great powers meet. The strong will fear the word of God and serve it to the meek. Athens and Jerusalem, they had a little before anyone could figure out what for. And by those blazing bonfires, surrounded by armed men, they ensured no heretical word would ever be heard again. Down at the academy, future growing dim, we built up the barricades and fought them with a pen. They overcame our last defense, put their swords against our necks. We exercised our own free will, and all were born again. In those blazing bonfires, surrounded by armed men, we ensured no heretical word would ever be heard again. By those blazing bonfires, surrounded by armed men, we exercised our own free will, and all were born again. Alright, that was a little rough on the old voice. Okay, this is a song by one of my favorite contemporary folk singers, Josh Ritter. And if you know anything about American folk music, one of the genres is the murder ballad, which is a song that will tell the story of a murder. And so what Ritter did in this song is he took a number of different murder ballads and wove them into one. So he'll be taking lines and choruses and characters from each of these songs, but also writing his new stuff and incorporating it into something new. That's a cool thing about folk music. So this is a murder ballad, but instead of telling the story of one murder, it tells the story of several. Which is why the guy who wrote it could think of no better name for it than folk bloodbath. Lewis Collins took a trip out west. When he returned, little Delia had gone to rest. The angels laid her away. Lewis said to Delia, "That's the sad thing with life, there's people always leaving, just as other folks arrive. Angels take her away." When the people heard that Delia was dead, all of them gentlemen, they dressed in red. Angels laid her away. Angels laid her away. Laid her 6 feet under the clay. Angels laid her away. Lewis went downtown for a new suit of clothes. He's gonna dress up for Delia like a fine red rose. The angels laid him away. But 10 gallon Stetson, it was oxblood red, and then Stackley shot Lewis in the back of the head. Angels laid him away. Stackley said to Lewis, "Now don't you grieve, I'm sending you to Delia, you won't ever have to leave." Angels laid him under the clay. Angels laid him away. The jailer was a mean one. His name was Hanging Billy Lyons. Said you always been a bad man, stack. You gotta hang this time. When the angels lay you away. And the jailer said to Stackley, what's the problem with you? Old jailer Lewis Collins Ghost brought Delia's with him too. Angels laid him away. Angels laid him away. Laid him 6 feet under the clay. Angels laid him away. Well, they buried little Delia in a churchyard deep. Lewis Collins at her head, Stackley at her feet. The angels laid them away. Out of Delia's bed came briars, out of Lewis fed a rose. Out of Stackley's came Stackley's cold, lonely little ghost. The angels laid them away. Now I'm looking over rooftops and hope that it ain't true that the same God who looks out for them looks out for me and you. The angels laid them away. The angels laid them away. The angels laid them away. Thank you, okay. It's a long song. I usually do it faster, actually, so it doesn't take as long. Okay, so let's do some CCR. Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Oh, they're red, white, and blue. When the band plays hail to the chief, they point their cannon right at you. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no senator's son. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. Some folks are born silver spoon in hand. Oh, they really help themselves. When the tax man comes to the door, the house looks like a rummage sale. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no millionaire's son. No, no. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. Some folks inherit star-spangled eyes. Oh, they'll send you down to war. it ain't me. I ain't no military son. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one, no, no, no. It ain't me, it'll never be me. Oh no, 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 no. It ain't me, it ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. I'm going to do my favorite Bob Dylan song. One of my favorite Bob Dylan songs. The abridged version of my favorite Bob Dylan song, because the original is over 12 minutes long. But I wanted to play this one, so here it goes. Selling postcards of the hanging. They're painting the passports brown. The beauty parlors fill with sailors, and the circus is in town. Here comes the blind commissioner. They got him in a trance. One hand is tied to the tightrope walker, and the other is in his hand. And the riot squad, they're restless. They need somewhere to go. As Brady and I look out tonight from Desolation Row. The moon is almost hidden. The stars are beginning to hide. The fortune-telling lady has even taken all her things inside. All except for Cain and Abel, and the hunchback of Notre Dame. Everyone is either making love or else expecting rain. And the good Samaritan, he's dressing, he's getting ready for the show. He's going to the carnival tonight on Desolation Row. Ophelia, she's neath the window. For her I feel so afraid. On her 22nd birthday, she already's an old maid. She thinks death is quite romantic. She wears an iron vest. Her profession is her religion. Her sin is her lifelessness. And though her eyes are fixed upon Noah's great rainbow, she spends her time peeking into Desolation Row. Across the street they've nailed the curtain, getting ready for the feast. The Phantom of the Opera in the perfect image of a priest. And they're spoon-feeding Casanova to get him to feel more assured. Then they'll kill him with self-confidence and poison him with words. The Phantom shouts to skinny girls, get out if you don't know. Casanova is just being punished for going to Desolation Row. At midnight all the agents and the superhuman is brought down from the castles by insurance men who go. Check to see that nobody is escaping to Desolation Row. I received your letter yesterday about the time the doorknob broke. When you asked how I was doing, was that some kind of joke? All these people that you mentioned, I know them, they're quite lame. I had to rearrange their faces, give them all another name. Right now I can't read too good, don't send me no more letters, no. Not unless you mail them from Desolation Row. Okay, all right, thank you. I've got two more to do, and some water to drink. Okay, this next one is another one that I wrote. So I guess I kind of think of the backdrop for this song as being like a Paris Commune song or a Spanish Civil War song, but you can make whatever you want to out of it. That's what music is for. This one goes out to my muse, who unfortunately couldn't be with us tonight. That country cafe just before noon, where the townspeople talk and the chestnut trees bloom, I was speaking to you about nothing I thought in some old foreign language that I've since forgot. We called for the check when our separate ways said we'd meet up again in a couple of days. Then the future caught up with us. Ain't that a shame? Now I can't even remember your name. The levee's gonna break now. And no one gives a damn about your reservations. Soon we'll be the only sane ones left in this nation. I saw you again on the first day of March, just as the country was coming apart. You were down in the trenches, I was up on the stage. We were screaming the slogans and dodging grenades. Our eyes met for a second as they brought out the guns, and we awaited a judgment that never did come. Then the future caught up with us. Ain't that a shame? Now I can't even remember your name. The levee's gonna break now. Everything's a stake, and no one gives a damn about your reservations. Soon we'll be the only sane ones left in this nation. Peace has been drawn up, but you know it won't last. I'm writing songs for tomorrow and songs about the past. Soon the others will call us come get back in line, but till the moment we hear them, we've still got some time. And we'll meet up again in that country cafe, where the veterans whisper and the traveling band plays, and when the future has caught us with more of the same, maybe this time I'll remember your name. The levee's gonna break, now everything's at stake, and no one gives a damn about your reservations. Soon you'll be the only sane one left. All right, I have one more to do. This is another cover, except that since this is pretty much my favorite song to sing, I wrote some new lyrics. But I'm not going to tell you which ones they are. It's all one song, as far as you're concerned. Talk in every telephone, get eaten off the web. We must rip out all the epilogues from the books that we have read. And in the face of every criminal, strapped firmly to a chair, we must stare, we must stare, we must stare. We must take all of the medicines, too expensive now to sell. Set fire to the preacher who is promising us hell. In the ear of every anarchist who sleeps but doesn't dream, we must sing, we must sing, we must sing. It'll go like this. While my mother waters plants, my father loads his gun. Says death will give us back to God, just like the setting sun is returned to the lonesome ocean. We must keep on waiting patiently for our slice of the pie. We must empty out our bank accounts, go find something to buy. And in all our institutions, crumbling to dust, we must trust, we must trust, we must trust. We must run around in circles, always following the blinds. We must disconnect the cables that are running through our minds. And with every starving artist crushed under despair, we must share, we must share, we must share. While my teachers burn their books, my leaders, they declare all our great inheritance has vanished like clean air. It turns out we're already nowhere. Thank you, Everest, for having this event. You should run for president, seriously. I'd vote for you. I'd write a song for you. I campaign for you at like shows and stuff. Seriously, Ben. How old are you? When can you run?
Oh, I can definitely run.
You can run, you should. Seriously.
Actually, I can't because I'm not running.
We must blend into the choir, sing ecstatic with the whole. We must memorize 9 numbers and deny we have a soul. In this endless race for property and privilege to be won, we We must run, we must run, we must run. We must hole up in the bunker where the dying soldier laughs. We must stare into a crystal ball and only see the past. In the caverns of tomorrow, our flashlights and our love, we must plunge, we must plunge, we must plunge. We'll get down there, way down, the very bottom of everything. Then we'll see it. Oh my God, we'll see it, we'll see it, we'll see it, we'll see it. Oh my morning coming back, the whole world waking up. The city bus is swimming past. I'm happy just because. Turns out I am really no one. Thank you. Okay, so this is my first show in 2 years now, and will probably be the only one for about the next 5. So you're lucky to have been here. Yeah, you can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I can watch it on YouTube in a few years and be like, what the fuck was I thinking? Why did I do this?
I thought it was pretty good.
I'll have to leave a comment apologizing.
Random fuck.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening.
Well, another round of applause for Okay, well, we're approaching the end of our ceremony. I'm not sure if most of you want to do this, so I'll just take a handful over here. Everybody's included in it. You can all see the second page of your job over here. And there is something you've got to recite. It's a subjective affirmation of a moral disposition. So with a show of hands, how many of you actually want to do it?
I'll be back.
Okay, not that many. All right, fine. So we'll skip it. I will not make you guys do it if you don't want to do it. Basically, we're ending our session today. So all I do is I'll just simply read through this last part. We started off, the first was from the twin prayers from Dharmakala, which is referencing the Eastern religions. So this will be the ending from Paul's text, 1 Corinthians 13. The greatest of all is love. It's actually my favorite part of the Bible. I've sufficiently secularized it, so I think we can all go with it, and I'll read it, and you're welcome to listen to it. Though I speak with tongues of angels but have not love, I am not but a sounding brass or a noisy trumpet. And though I have the gift of foresight to understand the mysteries of nature but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor and give my body up for sacrifice but have not love, it profits me not. Love endures passion with kindness. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It acts not with angst, does not seek its own, and is not provoked. Love enjoys not misfortune, but rejoices in truth. It bears all burdens, shares all belief, hopes all is well, and endures all with patience, for love never fails. Foresight will fail, rhetoric will cease, and knowledge too shall fade. For we know only in part, and our wisdom's curtailed. But love shall last forever. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child. But when I grew up, I set aside my childish ways. For now we reflect in twilight, but then we shall see face to face. In us abide faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of them all is love. The idea of love over here described as the Greek word agape, which best translates in English as compassion. It is the idea of feeling an encompassing passion, a feeling of reverence and fraternity, you might say, for other human beings as well. It is, I think this is something that's very important for all of us to cultivate. Coming together today in this group, that was the essence of the whole idea, is to basically feel the sense of love for each other, for mankind, for all existence, for humanities. One thing I'll say, I'll end this thing with it's not a prayer per se. It is merely a sort of a declaration of 4 statements and then a sort of a saying afterwards. I think that it kind of encompasses the spirit of tonight's feeling. It's a proclamation out there to the world it is not to God or anything like that, but simply it's more of an affirmation, a cry of hope from an individual to all of us. I call it the noble truth of love. It is about forgiveness, and it's about charity and compassion towards other human beings. Reconciliation begins with forgiveness, the first step to freedom for yourself and those around you. Forgiveness is a gift. It is always undeserved. It cannot be earned. Now declare your intent to heal your pain and to remove the bitterness from your heart, freeing yourself from anger and freeing those around you from condemnation. All that you should ask is for the strength to forgive and the wisdom to do what is right. Say, grant me the wisdom to do what is right, and give me the strength to bear my burden. Liberate me from these chains of misery, and fill my spirit with compassion and mercy. Grant me the wisdom to do what is right, and give me the strength to bear my burden. Liberate me from these chains of misery, and fill my spirit with compassion and mercy. I hope that whenever you are in distress, or whenever you feel angst against any other human being, whether they have hurt you deliberately or unintentionally, and we all get hurt all the time, is to remember these words, to have the wisdom to do what is right, to have the compassion to forgive other human beings. Oftentimes they need our forgiveness even though they haven't done anything wrong, but we perceive their actions as hurtful, as vengeful, so we should forgive them. And that ultimately is always good for us. It makes you a better person. It makes you a happier person on the inside. That is my wish. And I think we can end our ceremony tonight by Tyler playing the last song that was his, how he calls it, Decalogue. And then onward, basically call the vote to end this our event there. So, Tyler. So this is of course our great member and our cameraman as well for tonight. So why don't you come from the camera end, basically. And everybody, a great hand of applause for Azra Leeson. So the meetings should be adjourned. I present the motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. You guys are off the hook.